A lot of leather, studs, spikes, hair gel because it's about the mohawk, about the hair.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, they wear like the hair pretty much as a mohawk.
Definitely. Alright, rock and roll, man.
One hair spray, different colors. They're very much about the attitudes, like I don't give a f. If you think about it, a lot of skinheads are kind of into the punk rock scene. It's like the styles are similar and their music taste or the political views are very like similar. However, the styles and the music taste varies a little bit.
I got it really into classical music. I grew up in the hood, right? So, you know, weirdo anyway. You know, I think I was one of the few people I've known who's gotten into fights with kids over Beethoven when I was young.
Wow.
But that's what happened. You know, everyone else is all like, you know, getting into. It was Scarface and Dr. Dre were really big when I was in elementary school, and I guess the Ghetto Boys, you know, Scarface came. But you know, and they're all big and everything, and I'm all like, oh man, Bach, Mozart, Chopin. You guys don't know, and then you know, but like I'm like 9 years old and I was already that arrogant. But yeah, so a friend of mine brought over a tape that had Guns N' Roses and Metallica on it, and that sort of just blew my mind, changed my world, you know. But it was like it was a sort of period, you know, just exploring and trying to understand, you know, and finding these new things, you know. And but when it comes to punk rock, I can tell you, it was "God Save the Queen" by the Sex Pistols. It wasn't even like it wasn't even like a lyrical part. It was just this one part. It was sort of like, I guess, the bridge section, you know, right before like the third verse or something like that. But just this, you know, sound of this guitar just blaring so hard, and just, you know, the drive and the energy behind it, you know, just the way that sound just resonated in my head. That little lick would get stuck in my head for days. And I heard it on a documentary that I was watching for the.
What made you decide that Christianity was the way, and that punk rock would be the tool by which you could bring others to Christ?
Well, I guess that's kind of a weird way to put it, because I never saw punk rock as a tool to bring others to Christ. I just saw punk rock as the kind of music I like, you know? Again, you know, the whole personality attracted to the music sort of thing, to me, punk rock is just, it's just as, it just seemed like the natural fit. And a part of what allowed me to sort of fully give myself over to my faith is the realization that I don't need to give up a cultural identity in order to follow Jesus of Nazareth. The thing that sort of changed me towards Christianity had nothing to do with punk rock. Okay, that's a lie. It did have something to do with punk rock. It was, you know, I went to a church camp, you know, I was just around 13 years old. It was like, I think I might have turned 13 like the next week or something like that. But, you know, I went to this church camp. You know, by this point I'm already getting into death metal and stuff like that. Yeah, interesting kid. Yeah, and you know, it was just a really intense experience. The Holy Spirit was very present. A lot of the people I was talking with and meeting, you know, were just filled with a lot of love and brightness, and there was something that my soul was attracted to. And then, perhaps paradoxically, I also, you know, what really sort of sent me over the edge was this guy playing playing these compilations and these CDs from spirit-filled hardcore bands in the mid-90s.
Striper, I think?
No, they were like, those guys are like hair metal from the 80s, you know, like yeah, spirit-filled hardcore scene is a very different sort of thing. You know, I was telling you, hardcore sort of branched off from punk rock. Like, originally, hardcore punk rock, you know, was was the term, and people just started to drop the punk rock from it. You know, it became its own sort of scene and stuff. But you know, in the mid '90s, going on to this very day, there was this sort of a lot of bands that were on this label called Tooth and Nail
Trash and
Records.
vaudeville is where punk
later
rock
became
pretty much
Solid State.
came
Well,
from.
actually,
The
Stay Tooth
store
and Nail, but the
hasn't changed
hardcore
since
fix.
1975. I mean, I feel honored being 18
There's a
years
lot of
old
long
and being able
stories
to work
involved in
at this
this
store.
nonsense.
My
It's a
parents
little
have been
didactic
shopping here, and finally I get to work here. And it's almost like performing a show every night working at here. Jimmy, he's like an idol to me. He is like, I don't think I'd be happier working for someone like John Lennon. Jimmy is just incredible, and I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's awesome. For years, Jimmy's yeah, Jimmy's the
So
man.
this guy started up this label and trying to find
Alright,
these
rock and
bands,
roll, man.
music and stuff, and I heard one of the early compilations at this church camp, and I was like, wow, that's amazing music. You know, it was, you know, a few bands in particular that really struck me: No Innocent Victim, Strong Arm, and Unashamed. These bands, you know, I heard them, and there was an intensity there that I just hadn't heard anywhere else, and I realized, you know, wow, I can listen to this music and worship Jesus and do both at the same time. Well, that's just lovely. I think I'm in now, you know, and that was sort of what brought me along, you know. So I say it was paradoxical that I was attracted to both the light and joy that a lot of these people were exhibiting, while also being attracted to a music that is almost based on a not nihilistic rejection of anything that is hollowly joyful or just shallowly happy, like a lot of popular music is. And I think maybe there's a connection there, because with Christ I felt something that was not shallow, that was not just a consumer item, and that you couldn't just reject out of hand. You know, like you had to be a bit more complex about it. You know, when you say, you know, or that Christianity isn't real joy, you know, the joy of the Holy Spirit isn't real joy. Well, you know, you can't just say it's something manufactured by a bunch of corporate shills. You got to go, you know, a bit further, try to say like, well, you know, psychology, sociology, opium the masses, that sort of thing. You know, you got your work cut out for you, and for people who really do experience the joy of the Spirit and the contentment that brings, it's notably different, you know, than what happens with you know, with people who you know, found a new self-help book, you know, or something like that. I think, in my experience, you know, you can mock pop culture and mock the popular solutions to the human condition. And I think one of the things I appreciate most about punk rock is how it just utterly takes the piss out of all that nonsense. And that's what it is. It's nonsense. It's things that are manufactured to bring contentment. Which isn't to say there isn't plenty of that in Christianity nowadays too, and that's another issue. But you know, to me that was never it for me. For me, it was something radically different, very true and deep. And so, you know, I guess this kind of music that looks at society at large and says, what a joke, and this message that looks at society at large and says, what a joke, you know, that's, you know, to me, I guess there's a connection there, you know, I appreciate that.
Now, you're actually begging the question of something else. It's no secret that anarchy is connected with punk rock.
It depends on who you'd ask and to what degree and what you mean by anarchy, but okay, I'll grant the point for the moment. Yeah,
Okay.
sure.